Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Bryan Tann, and this is another edition of Tann Talks. What's going on, everybody? I am Bryan Tann, and I am your host of Tann Talks, the sister show of the Plotaholics podcast. RIP. Joining me today is two guests this time, not the usual one, but not only do I have my The Last of Us co-host Melinda D with me, but of course I have Katie Salidas, who is always with me when we talk Star Wars. Ladies, it's your first time meeting. It's our first time doing this in a three-person roundtable format. How you doing tonight?
Ready to talk Mando.
I feel like I
Yeah.
just saw you.
Yeah, that was only like a few hours ago, I think, maybe.
So really, it's welcome back to Tann Talks, the Plotaholics Pedro Pascal Power Hour.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Because we talked The Last of Us yesterday, and we're talking Mando now. But before we get too deep in, before we jump into this, there is one thing that I want to bring about, and I want to give Katie a chance to comment. This was from when we discussed Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, episode 6. Sis Coke 9074 from 7 months ago with 2 subscribers had this to say about you, Katie, as we discussed Senior Obi-Wan Aloysius Kenobi. This woman does not understand Obi-Wan as a character. First of all, Sis Coke, it's Obi-Wan. So you get a dislike. And granted, this is me being very, very petty. I'm going to reply. Dear Sis Coke, thank you for your, should I say amateur opinion, or can be like super petty, or no, I'll just go for your opinion.
What did we say about The Last of Us? Fandom doesn't need you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah. The fact of the matter that anyone is going to sit there and say that Katie Salidas does not know her Star Wars characters, like the only other way that you can make that 100 times worse if you try to say that Katie Salidas doesn't know her Game of Thrones characters.
I would like to point out that the woman does have a name. It was clearly at the bottom of the screen the whole time. So
Oh, and apparently
he pays as much attention as he probably thinks he does. But thank you for your incorrect opinion.
But this one also says, this women. This women. Thank you for your opinion. This woman is actually one person. Her name is Katie Salidas. While you're entitled to your wrong opinion,
Is he though?
No. But are you though? Trust me. To say that Katie doesn't know her Star Wars is like saying that George Lucas didn't create Star Wars. It's emphatically infactual. Well, actually, I have to give myself shit. Not infrastructural, emphatically not factual. There you go. Infactual is not actually a word. So, but thank you for watching. I hope you have been well these past 7 months. Toodles. I'm just in the mood to be petty.
Clearly.
I love it.
And reply. So I really wanted to just bring that up because here's the thing. Anytime I do a Tann Talks, all right, I bring people on here to talk these things with me that can keep up with me because I talk fandoms that I know about. When I talked Peacekeeper, I brought Squirrely Matt from the Produce Stand podcast because Squirrely Matt knows his stuff. All right, he knows his stuff. Anytime I talk Game of Thrones, I know that I'm calling on Katie. I know that if I'm talking Star Wars, I'm calling in Katie. If I'm going to be talking anything rescue, diving, or monstrous freaking fungi or Mass Effect, I'm calling Melinda. If I'm talking Cobra Kai, I'm going to bring in my good friend Stephanie Kelly because the only other person that worships Cobra Kai as much as I do, and she does, is my wife. My wives! So, yeah. But this
But girls
women.
don't know anything about Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Girls don't know anything about Star Wars. And Rebecca Jonesy, hello, hello, hello. You know what? Apparently, Rebecca's waiting with you with her patented cattle prod, complete with Benoit balls on the handle.
Yep. Got to get some work
I
done tonight.
feel like I've missed something here.
Basically, Rebecca Jonesy is always coming after people with cattle prods to make them do things to her will.
Okay.
And in this case,
I'm all
she's
caught up
getting
now.
me to make a deadline. Because
Yeah,
of my God.
basically, Katie has to make a deadline, but she has to talk to me. So, and you can't come at me with a cattle prod because I don't work for you. Sorry, my snark is on full display today.
I love it. I love the energy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about The Mandalorian season 3, or should we call this Book of Boba Fett sequel?
Look, I really liked the Book of Boba Fett. Okay, we are going to agree to disagree on that for the rest of our lives.
Well,
Everyone's entitled
to their opinion.
I will fully admit it was not actually the Book of Boba Fett. It was the Mandalorian 2.5. I will call it what it was.
And to jump off that, they did not, if you noticed, give you the Boba Fett info in the opener to recap for season 3 starter. If you didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, you don't know how the hell Grogu's back.
Very true.
No clue. So they're forcing you to go back now and watch Boba Fett if you want to find that information.
And you know what's bad is that I'm going to go back and watch Book of Boba Fett, and I'm going to be like, this isn't that bad.
That's right.
Although I didn't do that with Rise of Skywalker, I still will not watch. I've watched that movie 3 times, and that was 2 times too many.
That's 2 times more than me.
Good for you. You're smarter than me. But so that is definitely one of the first major facts, and that really hit because Sharon and I we watched The Mandalorian last week, and as soon as Grogu comes on screen, she's like, well, where the hell did he come from? And I was like, he came back to him in the Book of Boba Fett. And I get, oh, the one you watched without me. It's like, look, I watch a lot of things without you. Come on now. Get off my back. But it's true. If you did not watch the Book of Boba Fett, you are going to be completely lost in this first episode. And what gets me about that, though, is it is a smart marketing strategy. You have, like, if you don't know why Grogu is back, you're going to go back, you're going to watch the Book of Boba Fett, and then you're going to get super excited because you get to see the CGI Luke Skywalker, which is still haunting, and you get to see the amazing Ahsoka Tano with the gorgeous Rosario Dawson.
All right, but was CGI Luke Skywalker as bad as CGI at the end of what was the last one in the newest trilogy?
Well, I know that the Rogue One Princess Leia was just an abomination, and I still have nightmares.
Maybe that was the one, but I remember watching that and being like, man, this is just, we've come a long way with CGI, and this is just awful.
Yeah, no, the CGI on Luke Skywalker is better than it was, but look, if you really go in there, why don't you just get Sebastian Stan to like do the live action stuff and then dub over his voice with Mark Hamill, like what happened in the original Superman from 1978.
I'm here for it.
So, all right, so episode 1, we're just going to kind of go through this. So, I really appreciated we see this ceremony, this rite of passage with these young Mandalorians. And I was really thinking this was a flashback at first because that kid looked just like a young Pedro Pascal, not from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but
he looked like the kid that played Din Djarin in what, season 1 when they're looking at his backstory.
Yeah.
That kid.
Yo, that is a good callback to season 1 by you. That is a good callback by you. That did look like, he did look like the kid that played Din Djarin way back when. And I thought that that's what it was. And I'm like, wow, the armor must be really old. But it turns out that these are just new young Mandalorians and they're getting housed by this gigantic, and it wasn't a crate dragon because crate dragons live in the desert, but this was a badass dude, man, and he was housing, and then Mando shows up and just ends it. No, thank you, no nothing, just you're exiled.
So that brings a point up, and this is a running theme through the first episode. Mm-hmm. And while I did enjoy it, I kept asking, why are we here?
Yes.
Because Din went there to show her that he can get back onto the planet, that he has proof that he can go do it. Why wouldn't you just go do it and then come back and say, oh, I bathed in the waters, I'm good. So
yeah.
Why was he there? What was the point of him being there? Other than to show how all the Mandalorians are working together and they really protect each other. I got that aspect of it.
Yeah. Anyone who knows Star Wars knows that. Yeah. I think that whole scene was just for the casual Star Wars fan that knows nothing about the Mandalorians whatsoever. Look, for those that don't know, spoiler alert, the Mandalorians are the Spartans of the Star Wars universe. Okay. The Jedi feared the holy hell out of them. All right. The Mandalorians actually waged war with the Republic and the Jedi and literally almost won.
Yeah, their armor is specifically created to fight Jedi.
Yes, Beskar armor was created to repel lightsabers. All right. Even when they were upgrading their lightsabers to be stronger and more lethal, lightsabers could not penetrate Beskar. All right. The only reason why the Jedi beat the Mandalorians in the Mandalorian Jedi War was because Revan basically dropped the bomb. Revan had the exile drop the bomb and completely obliterate and make Malachor 5 unlivable forever.
Well,
mostly forever. Mostly forever. And it was so bad that the only reason why Revan and Malak were not essentially executed were because they went off into deep space and no one knew what happened. They left the exile to suffer the wrath of the Jedi Council. And her punishment was complete disconnection of the Force. That's how badass the Mandalorians are. All the jokes that they make that the only reason why God invented whiskey was so the Irish couldn't take over, that joke can be put toward the Mandalorians. The
Mandalorians did have a pacifist faction who were in power for a long time.
Yes.
They were the ones that got bombed to holy hell.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that the reason why Sidious bombed the crap out of them was because he knew that if he left them alone, he was done. Mm-hmm. Sidious obliterated them. He obliterated Mandalore because he knew that the only person in the galaxy that could cause him trouble politically and by force was Duchess Satine, the one true love of one Obi-Wan Aloysius Kenobi. If that's not his actual middle name, it is now.
It is now.
It is now, because that's just a great name. It fits.
Yeah, and he was willing to leave the Jedi Order for her.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for a Jedi to be willing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell, even Anakin couldn't leave the Jedi Order for his woman.
Right. What'd you say, Melinda?
So that seems to be pretty common, though. They just don't talk about it.
Well, the thing is, the only real Jedi in the series, in most of the series, in the primary canon, this isn't counting the EU, which should still be canon, but the only real ones that have left the Jedi Order was Dooku. He was one of the only ones. Dooku and Ahsoka. Those are the main ones that willingly turned their back that I can think of. I'm sure there are others, but those are the main two. Now,
Wait, not leaving, but like that whole, I love somebody, I want to leave because this is oppressive. That seems to be like, that pops up, keeps popping up, and they just kind of...
It does. It pops up every couple generations. Well, that's why when Luke created his academy, he did away with the whole celibacy thing. He did away with it to make sure that people came to the Jedi Order, because he was getting resistance where he's like, oh, well, I'm going to take your kid and your kid's going to be a virgin forever. Whoa.
Wait a minute. There was nothing saying they couldn't have sex. They just couldn't have
attachments.
Emotional attachment.
Wow, that's messed up. So
we know you don't need to have an emotional attachment.
So essentially, Jedi are very pro booty call.
Yeah, I would think they would be.
They're pro friends with benefits. So, yo, man, Obi-Wan should have been able to be like, yo, Satine, let's knock this out real quick.
Satine might have been the one going, no.
You ain't getting
walk of shame. Okay, falling in love, not okay.
Yeah, I think Satine was like, there's gonna be a singer, a human singer, generations from now. And she's going to say it best. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. And she's actually going to do the dance in the Mandalorian armor, everything. Wow, that's pretty hot. Now that I think about it.
All right, we got way
somewhere,
off.
Yeah.
Somewhere somebody on Tumblr has done that, so.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, Force Choke definitely seems to come off very, very different. Can you imagine if Vader came after, if Vader choked Padme and she just said, harder, daddy? And he'd be like, wait, huh? That definitely makes Revenge of the Sith a little bit different of a movie if she says, harder, daddy.
All right, we gotta get back on track.
Yeah, back onto it. So
unnecessary, but I guess for the fans, they showed the Mandalorians, being really supportive and helping and protecting. Okay.
Yeah, and then of course he finds out you have to bathe in the waters of Lake Minnetonka under Mandalore.
That already.
But he already knew that.
In Book of Boba Fett, like at the end?
Yes, it was even mentioned at the end of season 2 when he admitted that he took off his helmet.
I was like, maybe it was in the trailer and I'm just blurring it all together. I'm like, I thought we already knew this information.
No, thanks to COVID, we missed that. We missed it. I mean, we forgot because she told him that before. And for someone who is such a dogmatic follower of the creed, he knows this. He don't need to be told again. I guess he thought, hey, maybe if I blow up this dragon, they'll take me back on happenstance.
That is not the way.
No, I mean, that's Katie, true.
We're going to have to team up against Bryan for half a second. But like, how many times as a mom do you have to tell your kid, this is what you need to do? He just needed to be told one more time.
I do. And I think that's what Disney's doing, though, to the fans. Why they keep, showing it. Like he showed up. He's like, look, I got a rock. That's not bathing in the water. Get back out there.
he really came back with it like that was a huge deal. He's like, but mom, got a green rock.
Or the dog that brings in the dead mouse. It's like, I don't want this. Go back outside.
Yeah. And you could, I swear, man, the armorer, I could literally feel her darkness from Supernatural look, and she's just like,
yes,
I ain't want this. That's like when your mom sends you to the store for her cigarettes and some eggs, and you come back with the wrong pack of cigarettes.
Ooh.
I made that mistake one time.
Get
Never
your ass back
again.
out there and you go get the right ones.
That's right.
You take these back and you exchange them for the right ones.
The armor is now forever going to be the mom now.
She really is, because you could even hear it in her voice. So then we return to we get Carl Weathers back, and I was super excited about that. So we see Greef Karga, who is now the High Magistrate, and we find out that that Cara Dune is no longer the Marshal because she was recruited to the Republic again.
Because now, Disney said, see ya.
Yeah, Disney went bye-bye, so they yada-yada'd her out.
Yeah. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that they did that. It gives the character the opportunity to return, but not the actress. And I'm okay with that. You know what? If I really want a female former MMA fighter in my show, just give me Ronda Rousey, because at least I know she's not an asshole. I mean, she might be an asshole, but she's not a hate-filled asshole that I know of. And if she is, then you know what? Get me, I don't know. Get me Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix. Get me Beth Phoenix. She can act. Or get the Miz's wife. I don't care. Because I miss Cara Dune. I don't miss Gina Carano, but I miss Cara Dune. Because Cara Dune, she is the only character other than Bo-Katan, who we're going to talk about in a few seconds, who is the MVP of episode 2, that could hang with Din Djarin every step of the way and then outdo him just a little bit to show him his place. Hashtag, and I'm starting a new hashtag, hashtag free Cara Dune from Gina Carano.
Oh.
So
but again, I have to pull the "why are we here" card.
Right.
Because the very loose reason that he's there is to find a robot that, for all we knew, completely was blown up.
Right.
Trying to save Grogu, obviously, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And he thinks that if he fixes it,
it's going to be okay.
I mean, it's a really loose thread to tug on. But I get, again, Disney wants to reset where characters in place are. I get that. It really felt shoehorned, especially for an opening episode.
I feel like we were there for that statement of his name is Grogu. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
because
like we were there for everyone to go, yeah, no, nobody calls him that.
Yeah, no one's going to call him Grogu. He's just Kid.
And how cute was he force spinning around in the office chair?
That was so cute. I love seeing him in his little pod and he's just up there. I love Grogu so much. He's never going to stop being cute.
And that's the beauty of it. He's going to be
a baby for
the whole time.
Yeah, he's going to be a baby for at least another decade. Can you imagine, though, when he starts to go through his Groot teenage phase? I am Groot. I mean, Grogu. But I think, honestly, one part of it is that we had to get Greef back on screen because Creed 3 was hitting theaters. So I was like, man, let's get Carl Weathers back on. Let's throw Carl Weathers a bone. Poor man ain't been in Rocky since he was killed. Let's just put him out there.
It took me a hot minute to realize that was the same town. Like, they said the name, and I was like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Navarro looks really, really. So what really makes me wonder is, how does time actually work in Star Wars? Because a standard year isn't the same if your solar system is smaller, you know what I mean, than a certain one. Like, they don't even mention solar system. They say systems. But it's like, how is time working? How much time has passed? Has it been a couple of months?
Yeah. I think we just have to yada yada over that one.
Yeah, kind of. So then, of course, Din Djarin has to help Greef regulate on some pirates. Why the hell do you think you going into a school to drink?
And why, after you're told it's a school, are you so dead set to go in there?
Hey, he got to get his 2% on.
What the hell?
Yo, man, it's chocolate milk day. It's 2-for-1 chocolate milk day. I'm getting my shit on.
So we need to see that Grief Karga still had it in a very Han Greedo, I shot first moment.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And so he decides then that, all right, I'm going to Mandalore. I'm going to go see Bo-Katan so I can talk about what's what, how I'm going to get in here. Bo-Katan, and I hate seeing Bo-Katan just miserable like that. I don't like seeing it. She is so powerful and so proud, and she's the Pink Ranger, and she's just so badass. Her name is Katie Sackhoff, but she is Bo-Katan.
Here's where I'm going to disappoint you. Sorry.
Yeah.
My first introduction to Bo-Katan was last season. Yeah, I have not actually seen any of the animated stuff.
Oh.
So why do you even have Disney Plus, yo?
Yeah,
I was in a different place in my life when all that was going on.
Do you even Disney Plus, yo?
You have so much to learn.
You have a lot to learn about Bo-Katan.
Mainlining Supernatural to do anything else in my life.
I mean that's hey, look, if you're gonna neglect Star Wars, that's a good reason to neglect Star Wars, because I mean Supernatural is the shit.
It is. I was in the 50, but the Winchesters is something else, and we'll talk about that another day. I was in the 501st, so I needed a little bit of a break from Star Wars life, and that's when all of that happened. And then I came back, and I'm like, well, now I've got like 800 hours of stuff to get caught up on.
Yeah. Well, Satine,
whatever's like, ooh, like Bo-Katan, this is so amazing. I'm like, yeah, I don't really like her. She's kind of bitchy. But I don't have any of the nostalgia.
You have no real connection to her to understand why. Well, for one thing, to catch you up, Bo-Katan is the younger sister of Duchess Satine, who was the last ruler of Mandalore before the Empire decided to just destroy them. She's Duchess Satine's baby sister.
And she joined Death Watch. So Satine was on the pacifist side. She joined the aggressor's side.
Yeah, she basically joined the terrorists. Because
I don't know Star Wars. I'll get caught up. And I do know Star Wars. I just don't know the animated stuff.
And she
that's fine.
Had the Darksaber.
Yeah, she briefly had the Darksaber, which basically
she didn't earn it.
Right.
Nobody would follow her because that's stupid rule.
Right. So the one person that can truly wield the Darksaber other than Giancarlo Esposito is not allowed to lead the Mandalorians because she didn't earn it. Bruh. That woman has been through so much. She deserves her own castle, her own planet, her own harem of manservants that will follow her every will.
I will take your word for it.
One to polish her armor because she deserves it. One to refuel her ship to tip-top condition because she's earned it. One to ensure that all of her munitions have been loaded into her weapons. One to do her hair. One to wash her back if necessary. One to clean in between her toes and cook her meals and make her bed. And if one of them is lucky enough to even sniff her attraction, yes.
Okay.
Because she has earned all of the queenly pampering.
She got a bad rap because of that whole Darksaber thing. They blame her for the downfall of Mandalore. That's why the armor doesn't like her and talks shit about her.
Yeah. And that's why she hates those that follow the creed that closely. That's why she talks shit on them. Because they're supposed to be one people, but because they hate on her, they can't be united.
So this boils down to cults are a freaking problem in any universe we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And yes, I have thought, in those few seconds, I did think a lot about, keep in mind, my brain goes way faster than most other people's does. But yeah.
She got done dirty. She
got done way dirty.
Her people, and just fate dealt her a really shitty hand. So you see her, she's depressed, she's down, she's feeling all of it.
Yeah. Bo-Katan is definitely the epitome of gave her entire life for her people only to have someone throw a bag of flaming shit at her.
Mm-hmm.
And she don't deserve that. So that's why she's so miserable. And that's why she basically tells Mando, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
All right.
Because
not joining another cause. She's not doing another thing just for someone to shit on her.
Just let me sit in my empty ass castle with my droids and be left alone.
Yep.
I don't even want manservants. I want no servants. So then
you feel it. Like
no, absolutely. I feel her 150%. I feel that on days, and I didn't even do anything for nobody other than myself.
But Disney did her good though in episode 2, because she is definitely MVP of that episode.
Dude, bo-katan. If bo-katan isn't in most of these episodes of this season, I swear to God, on my life, if Jon Favreau don't give me more bo-katan, I am going to get in Doc Brown's time machine and I'm going to go back to when Jon Favreau was 10 years old and I am going to kick him in the dick.
See,
hashtag give Bryan more bow.
There you go.
That's right.
See, having not had that backstory, I'm like, they're setting this character up to be a villain because I didn't have any of that as context. So I will sit in this podcast and represent the people that have just watched The Mandalorian and go, who is this bitch?
She's a bitch you want to know.
She is
apparently, but not having that background, I'm like, who the hell? Who gives her the right to talk to him like that? And apparently, she does have the right, but I didn't know.
She doesn't. She doesn't not only have the right, she has the obligation.
All right,
she's
earned it, not the villain.
Yep.
Okay.
That's just like if I came up to you and gave you a wedgie. You've got every right to like stab me in my shoulder blade with a big pen. Wow, that's some fucked up imagery.
Yeah.
So in episode 2, Din Djarin goes to Tatooine. So I think even still, we continue with the gratuitous. Let's go visit our friends thing.
Now,
but he's got a reason here. He does have a reason here
because he knows that the Jawas
are gonna have the part.
Find anything.
Yeah, they can get the part to fix IG-11, but of course they don't.
My 501st, I was a Jawa, so every time the Jawas are on screen, I've got a Jawa tattoo. Like I had a Jawa on my wedding cake. Okay, so anytime the Jawas are on screen, I get obnoxiously excited.
I actually had Din Djarin on my groom's cake.
See, we had see the Jawas every day. I'd be cool with that.
And, yep. Oh, and I had Luke Cage on the actual wedding cake. So, but
I'm here for the Jawas.
I've always got 15 to 20 minutes time for Peli Motto. I love Amy Sedaris so much. And I love her relationship with Grogu. I love how much he loves her. Oh my God. I love how much she loves Grogu and he loves her. And I love how we finally got a payoff for R5. Mm-hmm. And Sharon wasn't understanding the importance. I said, you do realize R5 was the droid that R2 sabotaged in A New Hope. She goes, that's him? I'm like, that's R5. Yeah. That is the R5.
There is a story that he sabotaged himself, so he wouldn't go to them.
Mm-hmm. I always thought R2 did it, but that would make sense too, because R5 don't want to be bothered. He just wants to serve humans on his own, what he wants.
Yep.
He's the kind, that's the kind of droid I'd want around my house. I really do. He's like, look, I really don't feel like working, so you know what? I'm broke.
But he's also a droid you can talk shit to, because
he'll take it.
He doesn't want to go. He's like, don't be a baby. Get in there.
That was so funny. And I was really worried about him too. I was like, yo, where's R5? I've had over 40 almost, let me see, I'm going to be 44. 46 years of wanting closure on this droid. And you gonna kill him in the first 20 minutes of this show? I will whoop your ass, Jon Favreau.
Okay, back to the why are we here from episode 1?
Yes.
This is why it emphasizes that. Why did we go to Navarro? He wanted the part to fix the IG-11. IG-11. And just gets told, no, we can't find it. Have this droid instead. Instantly done. That whole reason we went there doesn't matter anymore. It was like worthless.
Well, I think
I
it
need
also
a droid
shows
that
his
can go
growth.
spelunking. That is not a droid that can go spelunking, but okay, that's what we got.
No, but that's a note I wrote down is like, it's such a good, it shows his growth from season 1 when it was like, no droids. Absolutely not. The only good droid is a dead droid. And now he's like, I need this droid. It's my friend.
That's true. I'll give you that. That is a good point. And I'll tell you what, though. What really gets me, though, is not just the fact that he's got this character growth on this, but yo, man, fuel costs in a galaxy far, far away must not be a thing.
Nah.
Because you go to Navarro, and then you go to one of the moons of Mandalore, then you go back to Tatooine, just to go back to Mandalore. Bruh, that's a lot of traveling. Huh? Yeah, but that's still gas.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's got to at least be half a tank of gas.
I mean, we also got that pretty epic Terminator-esque scene.
Yeah.
Where the IG unit reminds you why it's an IG unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have the baby and I'm a protector and that's great. And, you know, we didn't really get, like, I have a soft spot for IG-88 from the original trilogy. And you never really get to see the IG unit do its thing. And then, like, the lights go red and it's only a torso and Mando still struggles with it.
Yeah.
So, like, it reminded you, like, this was not just a protector droid. This was a badass, this droid, when it was at its full potential. And even as just a torso, it's nothing to play with.
But how quickly did he give up on that for a droid that looks like it's about to break down?
Yes.
Very true.
Like, it negates the reasoning for doing the thing in the first episode.
But he got a free oil bath out of
it. I mean, I get it. He trusts that she's going to do something that works. She might be, you know, good at swindling others, but she's a damn good mechanic. She knows what she's doing. So
and they're friends, so she's going to look out for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it. And then, of course, you know, so she takes the time, she retrofits his ship. So now Grogu gets to sit with Dad
in a tiny little compartment. How comfortable is that?
It's not. Yeah. I was telling Sharon, I said, you know what? I'd be mad as hell if I went from this nice, comfortable sized freighter ship and now I got this little ass speeder. What if I got to take a piss?
I mean, he is a dude, though. He went from the Winnebago to the sports car. I get why he's driving it, but practicality here. We need the
Grogu sitting on his lap was like, you know, every kid in the 80s who had to sit in the front seat in the station.
Yes.
Their mom and dad.
Yes. Oh, God, yes. I remember sitting in the front seat as a little kid. I had no business. Yeah.
What does this button do? No.
No, stop it. Oh, my God, you just took off the emergency brake. We're going to die.
No.
But I like the fact, though, but you notice every time they're flying, he's teaching him how to be a Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to know the stars so you're never lost. And he's pointing out everything to him. And this kid is just soaking it up. I love their dynamic. Every season, every chapter is just getting better and better with their dynamic.
Of course, the map is like 3 dots on a circle. This is the...
Yeah, that's true. I'm like, how am I supposed to understand this?
Teaches map reading, teaches hunting.
Yeah, he just teaches kids everything. Like, I can't wait till in one episode of The Mandalorian, Din Djarin has to teach Grogu about the birds and the bees, and then Ellie in The Last of Us shows him the gift that he got from his sister-in-law. She's like, "How do I put this in?" And he's just like, "Well, I guess open cup up."
He's just here collecting orphans like Pokemon.
Seriously, he really is. He really is. Like, I wish his ass would come over here and adopt my black ass.
He's embracing daddy mode, though.
He really is. Dude, how do you have 2 shows going back at the same time embracing being a dad? Like, he went from being the worst dad ever in that abysmal Wonder Woman 1984, but in The Last of Us and in The Mandalorian, he's like dad of the universe and the apocalypse. Like, what the hell?
Well, we said in this last podcast for Last of Us, we said it went from being a badass dad with a magic kid to being a badass dad with a badass kid.
Yeah.
And then, in episode 2, we get that with Grogu. He's not like he yeeted that guy out of the cave.
Yeah,
so you went from badass dad with a kid that's kind of meh to badass dad with a badass kid. So it's just
it's the same show. Like, and what's great,
a version of apocalypse horror.
Yeah. Now, what I really liked is, so they go into the cave, he gets attacked, and you see him pull the darksaber, and he's still having a lot of issue with it.
Yeah.
But he's getting a little bit better. And Sharon makes a comment. She goes, why can't he use it? And I said, because it is said that the Mandalorian that wields it has to become one with the darksaber. He's trying to make it work his will. He's not listening to the darksaber. The darksaber knows what it has to do. He just has to learn how to listen. The reason why it's heavy is because he's not listening.
In one of the cartoons that I can't ever remember the name of it.
Rebels?
Yes, thank you. When the darksaber comes up, they kind of explain that it's not so much wielding a blade as you're controlling the energy going through
of
the crystal.
blade.
And you have to be 100% focused, and you have to be, like you said, one with it and have that singular purpose and able to do it. That's why when you see the difference between Din, who's still struggling to, hone his skills and be 100% on purpose, versus bo-katan, she comes out swinging like it doesn't weigh a thing.
Yeah, she is wielding it as if she were a master Jedi. Like, if Bo-Katan decided to go after Ahsoka,
that would be a fun fight to watch.
It would be a great fight, but you know who my money is on?
Ahsoka.
I don't know.
Like I said, that would be a fun one to watch.
That would be a great fight. That would be a great fight. That would be one of those fights where no matter who wins, I win.
Yeah.
Because I see two badasses. But
every time Din takes out the darksaber, I keep picturing Luke putting it in his face, going, "Oh,
yeah." You know, he kind of reminds me of, you remember in Kingdom Hearts when Sora first wields the Keyblade and it looks like it's way too heavy for him to be wielding? Yep. That's what it reminds me of. But it's somehow
like he's mom's high heel shoes. How do these work?
Exactly. That's exactly what it looked like. But it was real cute to watch him and Grogu do the spelunking. And, they're dropping down. And it's just like father and son dropping in a cave. Father and son dropping about 150 feet into the planet. Not a big deal. And then we get the cyborg Terminator spider, which had me ready to scream like a little biatch because I don't like spiders. I scream like a little biatch anytime there's a spider. I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, and when those spiders come out, I'm casting unforgivable curses and screaming like a biatch.
I got super Riddick vibes from that. The Lensers and Riddick with just the eyes and the mask, the scuba mask.
Yeah.
So I got super Riddick vibes from the design of that character with just the eyeball.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
General Grievous vibes, like
a little bit. I really dig when he comes out of the spider and he's just walking around. I definitely have the Grievous
voice. That warble sounded just like him.
It did. It looked a little bit like the Geonosians too from the.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. And
it looked like it was harvesting his blood in order to probably
to survive. Yeah, which was disgusting. He's been doing this. And that's part of the reason why I think they're saying that Mandalore is cursed, because this dude has been hunting Mandalorians every time they show up. He's harvesting their blood for his own. And I love how he just goes, "Get Bo-Katan." And he was just like, boom, gone. Dad. Yeah, he dipped out, did everything he needed to do. And when that one cat when that Alamite got in his way, you just see, whoa, it's like, yeah, kids still use the Force.
Yep.
So
then, see you later.
And then gets onto the ship, somehow communicates to the droid, because I guess droids can translate coos and gerbles.
Well, he did point.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you see this circle? Go there. And then, Bo-Katan's all ready to cuss out Mando. And
but the moment she sees him, she's like, "Oh, okay."
Where's your dad?
I don't like him, but he better not be dead.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much also that she doesn't like Din Djarin.
She just won't be bothered by him.
Yeah, it's like he's the easy target to attack because she's upset. She's upset. He's there. And what really makes her angry is that he's following this dogmatic view of what it means to be a Mandalorian. That's her biggest issue with him. And you even see that later on when she's talking about, children and their bullshit and blah, blah, blah. That she sees so much potential in Din Djarin, but because he follows this narrow dogmatic view of being a Mandalorian, it pisses her off. So they get there, and I'm like, I hope someone's going to warn her against the Alamites. And then you're like, oh, wait, she didn't need anyone to warn her against nothing. She just she
lived there
for a long time. So she knows.
They lived on the outskirts. She probably knew what to look for.
Exactly. And she's even like, so how strong are you in the Force? Because, Jedi and the Mandalorians, we work together for a while. I love how she's talking to him, and I love how everyone around him is educating him.
And that line, did you think your dad was the only one?
Yeah, that was so great. So she shows up and she just rocks Homeboy's world.
Yeah.
And I mean, she rocks him the way Obi-Wan rocked Grievous before Grievous had to turn tail and run to make that fight last longer. I mean, dude I have a better chance with Katie Sackhoff herself than that dude had fighting Bo-Katan, okay? I have a better chance of stealing Beyonce from Jay-Z than he had against Bo-Katan. She rocked his world, and not in a good way. And then just when he thought he was getting the drop on her, he's like, well, I'm going to shock you. I'm going to shock you. She still rocked his world because Bo-Katan is just that one. Yo, as badass as Din Djarin is, Bo-Katan got some Casey Carnos, a Doberman, a German Shepherd, a Pit Bull, and a freaking Red Ridgeback in her. That's how many dogs she got in her. And she may even have a lion in there too.
Now, go ahead, finish your thought.
Bo-Katan is just the shit.
Now let's take a poll.
Okay.
Did she or did she not earn that darksaber?
Oh, yes.
Wait, doesn't she have to beat him for it?
It doesn't say you have to beat him.
Mando lost it.
He
when
lost
the droid got him.
When he was captured by the cyborg and he was disarmed, he lost the rights to the darksaber.
And then she beat the cyborg with the darksaber.
Twice.
Yeah. Okay, so the darksaber passed from Mando to the droidy thing to her. Is that what we're saying?
If we're going by technicalities, yes.
Yeah. Think of the darksaber as the Elder Wand from Harry Potter.
The Mandalore rests on a technicality.
I
mean, it wouldn't be Star Wars if it wasn't a technicality, right?
She wasn't allowed to wield it on a technicality. They blamed her for the fall of Mandalore on a technicality. True. So, yeah, I think if we're going technicalities, I think she earned that darksaber.
And how? Yeah, because, if you think of the darksaber as the Elder Wand from Harry Potter, it was Dumbledore's because he beat Grindelwald. It was his. Voldemort thought that it was going to be his because he claimed it. Then he thought it was Snape because Snape killed Dumbledore. No, it belonged to Draco Malfoy because Malfoy disarmed him. But then it became Harry's because Harry snatched Draco's wand from him. So, yeah.
Going by that logic.
I guess technicalities though, was he really disarmed in combat, or did it fall out of his pocket?
The guy yanked all this stuff out of his pocket.
He was captured.
Yeah, no, I know.
And it was taken. That count.
Yes, he didn't lose it in combat.
Well, I look at it the way I look at combat is
for his
this.
life. He just couldn't move.
Yeah, he was trying to fight for his life. He couldn't move. Homeboy said, "Hey, what's this? Mine now."
Well, I mean, you could go back to that technicality that the armorer said too. Like, at least you didn't lose your helmet because you sucked. You lost it because you took it off yourself. And she seemed to like kind of drop. There's a distinction there of like there is, but there isn't.
It's worse to dishonor yourself by taking off your helmet than to dishonor yourself by dying in combat.
Right. So
these rules are very difficult to follow unless you're a Mandalorian.
Rules are going to be overly dogmatic and stupid.
Yeah, because
because them, then technicalities count.
Right, because you know what, Melinda, to your point, did the cyborg guy and him go face to face and be like, "We're fighting now," and Mando lose it? No. But Mando fell into a trap. He was trapped and captured, which is still technically a form of combat.
And disarmed.
And he was disarmed. So theoretically,
I know there are other ones where it's like, well, let's look at how you actually lost it. Did you actually lose it? Like, I could see that being the technicality, like in another episode, maybe 3, where it's like,
there is
the end of the episode, Ando still has it. You saw him clipping it back on, so he still has it. But I wonder if they play with that technicality, is it going to not work for him as well?
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure that if the Mandalorian race as a whole was still thriving, there would be the Jonay Kokran that would be arguing it in front of the Mandalorian court. I'm sure that he would.
I was half expecting him to hand it to her, though, when he was picking
I thought he would, too. Thought he would, too. But I think he was like, look, you gave it to me before. This shit's still mine.
But he could have, you earned this time.
That's what I think that if I were Din Djarin, that's what I would have done. I'd have been like, look, man,
I can't wield it anyways. Take it.
Yeah, but then we probably wouldn't have a show.
Here, slap me.
You know, in the water, or he didn't get drowned in them. Like, I think there's so many. I hate technicalities.
So do I. I really would like. Honestly, here's my thing. For one, if society does fall, like the 3 of us and a few other people, we're going to establish our own society, and our rules are going to be very, very, very straightforward, where there can be no technicality. There's even going to be a footnote on the page. No technicalities allowed.
Flowchart. If A, then B. If not B, then C. Follow the flowchart.
Yeah. And if you try to go through all that, I'm going to have a little note that says, A, you have too much time on your hands. B, take up hobbies. C, hell no. So finally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll hold it because it's the end scene that you're about to talk about. Go ahead.
All right. So then finally we get to the flowing waters of Lake Mandalore. And he's, and bo-katan is giving him all the information, and I really like how she's sort of opening up to him a little bit more. And then he goes in there and he's going through his little speech, and then it's just like, what? Like that. I started laughing at that because that was so sudden. It was like, that was like a pie to the face. It was so freaking sudden. And I used to love pie to the face humor when I was a kid.
That was a good comedic moment, though, because right before that, she's reading off the plaque and he's like getting ready to go in. And there's a moment where she turns and you can see the awe on her face. Like she took it for granted when it was, actually the city and going through all the stupid, ceremony and stuff. And here he is in this derelict city.
It means more to him now than it did to her then.
And there's that moment right before the comedy where he's pulled down. It's a perfect balance.
And she's just like, shit, I gotta save this motherfucker again.
It felt very like this, you see the when they take 3 steps and then there's like very Wile E. Coyote. There's no more steps there and you just
That's what I thought it was. That's what I literally like. That's almost like when I almost drowned in a pool once because I was trying to walk after my brother in the pool and I fell off the ledge. I didn't know there was a ledge. So it was just like, I'm like, you mean to tell me now this motherfucker can't swim? And it's like, oh, something grabbed him. Oh, well, I guess I'm the asshole. And bo-katan just dives in after him. And she's like swimming and she's swimming. Somehow his heavy ass is all the way at the bottom of the pool. She's taking him back up and she just sees a thing. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I don't like it. And that's why I'm never going scuba diving.
No, okay. So as your resident scuba diver, okay, when he dropped like a lead weight and then she jumped in after him, I was like, damn, they don't need buoyancy devices. They don't have oxygen tanks. Like,
their suits are pressurized. Their helmets are pressurized.
Yeah, their helmets are pressurized for it.
No air getting to them. What is she breathing underwater? Does she have like gills?
The Force.
Well, yeah,
when in doubt, it's the Force.
But they were supposed to be able to survive in space. That's why the helmets.
Totally. And I totally get that,
but they don't explain the science behind it.
But the diver in me was like, I need that technology. Please get that to me.
Why do you guys get all the fun things? Because science.
I didn't need the science behind it. I just need it.
No, I hear you.
I need that. So I can just into the lake and go do my thing.
It's pretty cool.
Then she gets him and then she brings him back up. And then you see she sees the mythosaur.
And the bubbles.
Right. And I'm just like, dang.
That was an oh fuck bunch of bubbles.
Yes, that was no shit moment.
I'm pretty sure that if this were a comic book, those bubbles would say, oh fuck.
Yep.
So, and that's the end of
and that's the legend though, that the mythosaur is going to rise again.
Yes.
And usher in a new age for Mandalore. So they're playing
which is actually really, really cool, because if it's going to usher in a new age, the number one, that means that J.J. Abrams really screwed Star Wars, but it also tells me that Disney had plans for the MCU and did not decide to plan for Star Wars. Because how in the hell are you going to have all the stuff from the sequel trilogy happen with no Mandalorian involvement if the mythosaur is going to if the viewing of the mythosaur means there's going to be a new age of prosperity for the Mandalorians? So what? That shit only gets to last 25 years? Kiss my ass. See, that's what, so this is what I want then. This is what I want. I want the sequel trilogy decanonized.
But we need to keep R2KT.
Keep who?
R2KT.
Oh, absolutely.
They can always put droids in wherever they feel like, though.
Yeah, you can put, the droid.
The specific droid. Y'all know who R2KT is, right? No?
Remind me.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So I'm going to go back into 501st land. Katie was a little girl who had cancer and passed away. And she was, and I may be misquoting here and people are going to come after me for it. I want to say it was the founder of the 501st daughter. And she loved the color pink. So they made an astromech droid, R2KT, that's pink. That was to immortalize her in Star Wars universe.
Aww.
And R2KT is in, I think it's in episode 7 at the very end when Rey is meeting with Leia, and there's a little pink astromech droid. And that's R2KT. So we can get rid of all of that. R2KT has to stay and has to be Absolutely. In our new last 3 episodes.
I'm all for that. You know what? I would actually really, really like? Number one, that's so sweet. I would really, really like for them to do is, if I were in charge of Disney and Star Wars division, I would say, so this is what we're going to do. I like what you're doing with this. I like what you're doing with the mythosaur. If we are going to have the Mandalorian society rise again because of the mythosaurs, so then this is what we're going to do. We are going to put out a press release that the sequel trilogy that we got is decanonized. We are going to go to John Boyega and we are going to apologize to him profusely. And we are going to beg him. No, we are going to plead with him to not only forgive us, but we are going to promise him that we are going to do right by him and by Finn. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do an animated series called Star Wars After the Death Star. And what it's going to be is it's going to take place in the time period. Actually, no, we can call it, Star Wars The New Republic. I like that one better. And we are going to go to the same time period. We are going to have a prequel comic series to explain everything that happened in between when the Empire fell, so we can explain everything with Thrawn and Ezra and blah, 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 and how the politics worked. We are going, because I like the idea of why Luke was a bit afraid of Kylo Ren, but we are going to have the Yuuzhan Vong involved, because they deserve to be canon.
Yes, they do.
Deserve to be canon. I'm going to, and Ben Skywalker is going to be Jason Solo. He will be having his twin sister Jaina Solo and their baby brother Anakin. We will have a Ben Skywalker. We will have a Mara Jade. And episode 7 is going to pick up after the Legacy of the Force, when Jaina had to kill Jason. Ben will still be our antagonist, played by Adam Driver, because Adam Driver has just grown on me that much. But he's not going to be this simpering ass, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum when you give me bad news. No, he is going to be cold, cool, calm, collected, terrifying. Snoke is actually going to be someone of real note, not just a failed Palpatine clone. Finn's backstory is still going to be the same. I'm actually, I think he should actually be a clone of Mace Windu, because that's what I thought he was going to be.
Okay, I can see that.
Rey is going to be the daughter of Jaina Solo. That Jaina isn't like the only reason why Jaina moved her. She put her up for adoption with a family to ensure she was safe, because there could be something going on where Jason is still around. Come to find out, Snoke is actually Jason Solo, Darth Caedus. He is hunting his niece so he can turn her to the dark side, so he can attack his sister. There we go. And the Mandalorians are even more involved. You can't have this new order rising about, we want war and blah, blah, blah. Because all you're saying is, please, Mandalorians, a.k.a. the mighty Spartans of a galaxy far, far away, destroy us. Because you can do it. Because you're that badass. That's what we're going to have. And then we're going to have stories where we focus on the Mandalorians. Why? Because I am sick of the fucking Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel better now.
Good. Good.
I should be in charge of Disney.
Just write that up. Have that on my desk by Monday. It's all good. I would watch that. I would.
Yes.
I think it would be really, really great. And of course, we still got to have Poe Dameron as well, but we're going to do it animated so we can have a nice, good series. We don't have to shoehorn a whole bunch of the word that I don't like, that they do it all the time. They never do it right to explain how stuff happens, because my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. Exposition. We're not shoehorning a bunch of exposition into 2.5 hours. We actually do a TV show so we can get all the stuff in. And we actually start to focus on new characters that aren't called Skywalker or Solo. Yeah, good luck getting me to write anything. That's a good point. Let me get my master's degree and then we'll talk.
And we need the little pink astromech droid.
Oh, and there will definitely be the pink. And a matter of fact, if we are going to keep Rey, then the little pink astromech is going to be her bestie.
Yes, R2KT. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember, and it was that's what it was. It was,
and Rey's not even going to find out, and she's not even going to find out that she's a Solo until the end of the series. Then we can find out that she's actually whatever the hell her name would be, Solo. That's when her mother shows up. Her mother's been keeping an eye on her, but her mother isn't getting involved because guess what? My kid has the tools inherently that she needs. She can do this. I will help from the shadows. That's it. Because we don't need overpowered characters getting involved because it's not fun. We know what's going to happen then.
All right. Write it up. Make it happen.
I like it.
Yep. I swear, I should. You know what? So, someone get me producer guy from pitch meetings. So you have a script for me? Yes, sir, I do. All right. So with that being said, with all of this, anytime we have to put 2 episodes together, there's a ton to talk about. So let's get Bartender Smiley in here and let's talk. Let's grade episodes 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian season 3.
The Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So what can I get you?
I think Bartender Smiley is super happy that we're still doing Tann Talks. Otherwise, he'd be out of a job. And he's way too surly to go back to being just a regular bartender. So, with that being said, we all know how this goes by now. We rate things based on a shot system. 0 shots, you needed nothing. You needed nothing extra to get through it. 5 shots, it was the worst thing that you've seen in your entire life, and you had to induce alcohol poisoning just to get the stink out of you. So let's start with you know what? Why don't we start with Katie, who is back with us as we get into the galaxy far, far away. Episode 1, Katie, what do you got?
I'm going 3 shots for episode 1 because I kept having to ask why we're here.
Fair enough. Melinda?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 2 because I was like, wait, isn't this just a repeat?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna give it a 3 as well, because it felt, even though I'd seen Book of Boba Fett, I literally felt like Kramer on Seinfeld. Like, whoa, Grogu. What's he doing here? Oh yeah, right. I mean, I get the pacing choice as to why, but it still felt very sudden. You could have said previously on The Mandalorian season 2.5 or previously on the Book of Boba Fett and given me a little something. Absolutely. I really felt like that. I really felt we took a lot of things that we didn't truly need, even though from a narrative, it's like, well, we need to tie off this loose end, but it still felt like it felt very unnecessary. All right, Katie, episode 2, this week's episode just dropped today.
I'm only going to go 1 shot. I really enjoyed seeing them get to Mandalore. That was so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Melinda?
I have to reframe it because, like I said, I went into this with who is this bitch and who is she talking to Mando like that. So originally it was very like I was missing pieces of the puzzle, and now I have it. So come back to me because I have to rethink my order with Bartender Smiley.
All right, I'm gonna give this. See, I don't want to give this a 0 shot rating because I didn't feel like it's earned the 0 shot rating. There were still a couple of things on this that. It was a great callback to some of the previous seasons, but at the same token, it's like very impractical doing all this traveling for what? You know, why didn't you just go right there? But okay. But I think that seeing this was the bo-katan episode for sure. I think that if you really feel like, I really think that if you feel a kind of way for Din Djarin taking over the Mandalorian, he got a little taste of his own medicine because this was the Bo-Katan show this season. So I'm going to give this a 1 shot rating. Katie Sackhoff is always a joy to see on screen, especially when she's Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm.
she really did a great job with showing the pain of a monarch that doesn't have a people to lead because she's been rejected. Grogu really actually showed a lot more in this episode than he has in a few episodes because he's showing that he's no longer just this helpless thing. He actually did something this episode. In the fact that we have something of a mythos that we haven't seen really on screen before. It's only been in, you've got to be a real Star Wars fan to know about. I loved it. So I'm going to give it the 1. So Melinda, I've stretched it out as far as I can. You got to give it to us. You got to sober up, get you some coffee, right. get you a vitamin B shot, something. Sober up.
I'll go with 1. And I think it's mostly the nitpicky stuff. Like the fact that everyone can understand Grogu really pisses me off.
Yeah, how do you understand Ku and Gurgle?
Who the TARDIS isn't translating for everybody. You know, it's not Farscape. We haven't all been implanted with whatever. Like it, and it is funny because they've made a point in other episodes of like not everyone speaks Jawaese.
Yeah.
Or the Tusken Raiders have, you know, sign and then they have the grunt language. And if you don't know them, you can't communicate with them.
Right.
You know, and even in episode 1 with the little guys, it's, you know, and you had the comic relief of Grief Karga. Well, they said this. It's like, yeah, I got it.
Right.
Somehow everyone understands exactly what Grogu's trying to say by making incoherent toddler noises. Like parents in the room who have had toddlers, none of us know what our kids are saying and we live with them.
Yo, Bryan Jr.'s 14, and some days I'm still like, what the hell are you even talking about?
But you do understand their hand signals, though.
Yeah. I picked up middle finger very, very well.
Specific, detailed information from him, and I'm like, what we got from him was I want a frog snack, not, well, first you go left at this star and then right at this one, and then we have to, like...
He is about giving some detailed ass like directions just by like
the point.
Well, I guess droids are a higher
thing.
Melinda, you're forgetting the cardinal rule of Star Wars.
Don't look too close.
The Force did it.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, depending on the IP, either a wizard did it or it was the Force. Or, worst comes to worst, Shepard was involved.
Hey, I'm not going to dispute your rating, though. I agree with you.
No, I do agree. I do agree 100%. Yeah. And I said the same thing. I actually looked at Sharon. I said, how the hell does that droid know what the hell he just said? It ain't like they have an almost universal language.
I get what Katie said. Like, he pointed. Okay, yeah, I can buy that. But Bo-Katan, well, you have to tell me what happened to him.
Where's your dad?
The toddler.
Where is he?
I mean, think about it as a parent. You know, a toddler comes walking up to you, no adult in sight. It's like, clearly something has happened here. Please tell me what is going on.
At the other planet, though.
He probably did. Yeah, you know what? What we don't realize is that one of Grogu's like individual force powers is the power of point speech. So he just point. He can point to a.
He needs Henry's board. Sam's board.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And thank you for bringing Sam back up. Poor Sam. I miss Sam. I miss Sam so much. Have you been watching The Last of Us, Katie?
You know how I feel about zombies.
Well, they're not zombies. They're infected. They're infected by a fungus.
Let's split hairs here. They're zombies.
All right, so they're but you know what? They're not just mindless individuals. They're mindless hive mind.
If we're going on a technicality, which is the theme of tonight's podcast, to be a zombie, technically you have to be dead and reanimated.
Technically, they're not dead. They're just
the
infected.
Aren't dead.
That makes them even scarier.
That's
true.
It's
a technicality, but I mean,
but Katie doesn't like zombies. They're frightening.
I don't either, but they're not zombies.
Well, she, yeah, that's true. But I'm pretty sure. Well, Katie, I don't know what you're too concerned about. If somebody started having the cordyceps around you, you just pick up your sword and just start going to town.
That's true. That's true.
And let's be real, Bryan, Katie, if you haven't been watching it, to be honest, unlike The Walking Dead, where they will just throw random hordes of them at you, we've only, other than like one episode, where there was a significant number of them, we've only really had like one or two on screen. This last episode, there were none.
Yeah, most of the episodes there aren't really. They're actually focusing on the human aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see the infected in the first episode because they have to establish why the world fell apart. And then after that, yeah, they're mobile mushrooms.
They are mobile
Literally,
mushrooms.
That's what they are. But
they're
they also,
guys.
yeah. But there's only one other episode. There's only one other episode where there's a ton of them. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a good reason. It's not gratuitous.
Yeah.
And that's actually the episode where I straight up ugly cried. And when I say I ugly cried, I mean tears falling, snot dropping. Like I seriously like almost had to call my mama. I was crying so hard in that episode. Yeah. It kicked me in the balls and tugged on my heartstring all at the same time.
I'm not gonna lie. Every episode, and I know this is the Mandalorian.
This is the Mandalorian. Yeah.
Very much like every episode, I get out of that being like, holy shit, it can't get worse. And then guess what? Next week, it gets worse.
Pretty much. Besides, your homegirl from Game of Thrones is in it.
Yes, and she is a badass. And Pedro Pascal is in it. So really, it's like an extension of The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
It's basically The Mandalorian, but on Earth, if Grogu were a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I'll have to put it on the list.
Yep.
But for now, I'm waiting for the next Mandalorian episode. I want to see where they go with
Absolutely. So next week, we are going to come together a little bit earlier. And we're going to be, because, Melinda did the homework. Melinda had to get the homework done. She got it done. She came through in the clinch.
Look,
you did good. No, I'm not shit talking. I'm serious.
No, you can go ahead and shit talk. It was a rough week, okay?
I understand.
The episode we just watched, The Last of Us, was emotionally draining. And I
absolutely
did not have time but I did it. I'm in.
Yes, she does, Rebecca, because there's not much food to eat. So I'm pretty sure whatever Joel finds her to eat, she's going to eat.
I bet you she doesn't eat mushrooms, though.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yo, if there was still pizza in the Last of Us world, I am not putting mushrooms on that shit, because you never know. But no. Right. This last episode of The Last of Us was emotionally draining, and of course, you can watch that episode of The Last of Us here on the Plotaholics podcast YouTube channel. I'm going to do my best to actually post that around here at some point. There is a trigger warning on that as well. We posted it in the description, and there is actually a link and the phone number to Rain in case you need it. If that episode is that triggering for you and you want to hear our analysis of it, we do have the phone number and the website for Rain. It's rain.org. All right. For those that are survivors of sexual assault, it's never easy to talk about. It's never easy to deal with. When you see it put on screen, sometimes it could be a little bit cathartic. Other times it brings back the bad memories that you don't want. So if you haven't seen the latest episode of The Last of Us, they didn't put a trigger warning on it. If you're watching this before you have a chance to see it, this is your trigger warning on that. Okay.
So my sense, that's why I didn't watch The Mandalorian, but I did watch it.
Yes, you did.
I will do my homework earlier next week.
Yeah. So with that being said, so next week we are going to get together for episode 3 of The Mandalorian, which is titled Chapter 19. Okay. Thanks, Wikipedia. You failed me.
Chapter 17 was the apostate. What was chapter 18?
17. Chapter 18 is titled The Mines of Mandalore.
Okay, I missed that.
And as of right now, season 3 of The Mandalorian is sporting an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 78% audience score, 78 critic ratings from the Tomato Meter, 347 user ratings as of today, the 8th. All right. Looking at Internet Movie Database right now, it's sporting an 8.7 out of 10. So this episode of The Mandalorian was definitely a good one. It was major league, a step up from last week's episode. And I really, really hope that they use this to build on this season because let's be real. Granted, I did not watch Andor, but Star Wars fandom needs a major league victory right now because Book of Boba Fett was such a letdown to the point that I didn't even bother to watch Andor. Andor could be very good, but I wouldn't know.
Andor is apparently fantastic.
I watched most of Andor.
All right. I felt so disappointed and let down by Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett that I just couldn't with Andor. I'm just now getting back into watching The Bad Batch, and I love The Bad Batch. I love that crew so much. So, yeah, and I'll actually make this promise, if I really, really appreciate and enjoy this season of The Mandalorian, I will go back and watch Andor. So that way, at least if I hate it, I'll have The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian to fall back on.
Then we'll have to do a review of it.
Probably. Well, Andor's been gone. It's been like over for a little bit. I don't think anyone's going to. We're going to have to find something else that's topical. You know what? I actually almost thought about us doing Willow when Willow came out, but Willow was so bad that I just did not.
Tell me that. I
want to
haven't
trust
watched it yet.
Oh,
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Just
You
don't.
know what? I'll put it to you like this. Let's just say you know what? I'm going to compare Willow like this. Take everything that you love about the original trilogy of Star Wars.
Okay.
Everything you love about the sequel trilogy. I mean, of the prequel trilogy. And then you just get the Rise of Skywalker. That's basically it. Spoiler alert. It doesn't have the feel. It just has characters that happen to have similar names that may or may not be related to someone that may or may not actually be. Willow barely even acts like Willow. Willow acts like a whiny ass bitch at certain points. And then he's just like, well, I'm Willow.
Well, there was a trilogy that happened after Willow in books.
Yeah. And they looked at that and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else that we find, like, literally, it feels like they looked at the books and they pitched the books to be a TV show like it was the pitch meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And producer guy was just like, well, actually,
No.
you're going to get this. Yeah. It is literally like, I would much rather pierce my own urethra with a rusty fishhook.
All right, then.
I had high
Katie,
hopes for it.
What are you watching?
I think when I get ready and go to bed, actually, we've been rewatching Angel.
No, you're not Katie. I asked Katie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Card season 3 is back out, so I am watching that one. I'm hoping Strange New Worlds will come back out soon because I really enjoyed season 1, and I heard rumors that there might not be another season, but fingers crossed that season 2 is still coming out as planned, and that the season they might not have a season 3. But yeah, I'm to the Star Wars phase or Star Trek phase now.
Yeah,
You're watching Angel, Bryan?
What's
Are
that?
you watching?
I said, you're watching Angel?
I am. Yeah, we're watching Angel. We're on season 4. And Sharon literally just discovered that Cordelia was the big bad. And I said, oh, the disgustingness has not even further begun of this season. I will never forgive Joss Whedon for season 4 of Angel. Like, if I were Charisma Carpenter, I would have ditched that freaking show too. Oh, wow. Dude, Rebecca Jonesy is just throwing shade.
She's reminding me that I got to get to work. I got to actually feed my kids first too, so I'm going to have to
So with that being said, everybody, we kind of went a little bit later than either of us intended to. So if you're still here, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, and I promise you that next week's episode will be abundantly shorter. For Katie Salidas,
one episode, not 2.
Yeah, there's only gonna be 1 episode, not 2. All right. So for Katie Salidas and Melinda D, I'm Bryan Tann. This has been another edition of Tann Talks.